Good morning, folks. Thursday the 26th of June, pre-London opening. Just an hour earlier than usual. I can tell the sun's massively different within the hour. It's coming straight at me now, so excuse me if you can't see the screen. Quick sound check, make sure we're coming through okay. Okay, just looking. It's a bit of a dull night overnight in the Forex markets. The only real note, of course, was the New Zealand policy statement. I'll come to that briefly in a moment. What we're seeing really is the dollar drifting over the last couple of days now. This is basically Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's coming off its highs. It seems to be running out of any positive steam that we sort of took from the FOMC last week and all the hawkish comments in there. We're still below the monthly highs here now. This sort of like pink line here. It's still languishing below the monthly highs, and it looks as though they possibly could be running out of steam, which comes into line with my thinking. I mean, it's nice to see it finally happening. We're looking possibly to play dollar weakness at the moment. Also liking to see some pound creeping back into negative territory again. So I've got my eyes on that at the moment, just pound and dollar weakness. Way to play the US dollar. Way to play the US dollar possibly is we're seeing a bit of yen strength. So this is where you've got to look at it. So if you look at the strength meter on the 1 hour, bonds, stocks are coming off a tad. Gold pushing up, yen's pushing up. So seeing a bit of yen strength coming in here at the moment. So I'm looking to play some short plays, possibly against the yen. Also looking at the Canadian dollar to sell against possibly the yen as well. Here's the US dollar against the Japanese yen. I think we touched below 1100 early on, or in the late Asian session. Pull back in now. Andrew, what is a true ECN? Electronic Communications Network. True ECN means the order's put straight through to the market, and there's no broker intervention. That's what they mean by that. There's no there's no intervention at all. It goes straight through to the market. They take their price feeds from all the investment banks, and it gets matched up with the investment with the other banks' fees that are coming in from around the world. So there's no broker intervention. No one taking the other side of your trade at the broker. So dollar yen, looking at a pullback here, minor pullback into a possible short entry. Now the short entry that I prefer would be a bit more of a pullback up into the 11.20 area. So if we pull back another 20 pips in here, I'd confidently take that. It's more of a day trade, it's a longer term thing. This is sort of like swinging around. I mean, to try to take a couple of hundred pips out of here at the moment, or 100 pips out of here at the moment is a difficult one. It is in a bit of a range, like a politician's answer. Well, they've got a chat in the room. You go to their site, you've got live chat there, and in fact they should be still there, so why don't you ping them and ask them what they mean by true ECN. So if we have a pullback into 11.26 area, that could be more of an aggressive entry rather than this little pullback here, which was basically yesterday's low. Yeah, that's all right. Better ask IC Markets. Yeah, I don't put out their marketing. So an entry at yesterday's low, which is basically about here, for a retest down into the 1065 area. I think this is the next level of support. You can see here, if you look to the left of the chart, back from the beginning of June, there's support coming in around the 1060 area. So you might have 45 pips to the profit to the downside before you come into some support. 45 pip 1-to-1 to the upside takes you in around 11.50, so it's a good 1-to-1 on there. I'm not advertising it, Potter. It's on their website. So the dollar yen 1-to-1 risk reward works bias to the downside. Okay, the other play against the US dollar weakness would be against the New Zealand dollar. It's caught a bid overnight for the RNBZ, which is obviously the left rate's unchanged, which is widely expected. But what they've done, they've moved the neutral word from their forward guidance, which is deemed to be a hawkish move, which is why the market seems to like that. They've also been quite optimistic on their growth outlook. So the New Zealand dollar continues to grind higher. So that's a possible play in here. So if you look at where we are on the 1 hour, nicely firmly above the moving averages. You can buy here at the moment. We're not at the weekly highs yet. So buying here or waiting for a pullback, both of these work, I think, for grinding low of the US dollar over the next few hours or so. If you want to be super cautious, see a pullback into 72.45, 10-15 pip pullback. The target for me on the upside at the moment, I think if you look on the range here, sorry, beg your pardon, let's go back to the 1 hour. Takes us up to longer term range target is at 73.10, so you've got about a 60 pip take profit target, taking entries around 72.47 with a stop below the real low. Apart from this is the candle obviously that the announcement came out of, so I've just taken that out of it. I'm taking a low of about 40 pip stop for 60 pip take profit target. Buy New Zealand US dollar is a trade that can work. New Zealand dollar, of course, is outperforming the other currencies at the moment. New Zealand dollar against Aussie. Coming into support here, double bottom. Playing this one just to the downside now. Continuation of this bigger trend, which we've been playing for a while. Okay, so I think this is a safer trade. I don't think it's gonna. There's not going to be an aggressive trade. The ATR on the 4 hours only 30 pips, so it's quite ranging at the moment. Not a great deal of momentum, but certainly in terms of grinding, grinding lower, Aussie grinding lower against New Zealand is a possible trade I'll be looking at later today as well once we get going. Coming in at 104.30 for a level. Basically where the main body is on this 4 hour doji. 104.30. Looking to possibly take a short around there. Oil market still under pressure. CAD's under weakness, under pressure. Yen's under some strength. Here's my preferred trade, which I have got my eyes on. Is selling CAD yen today. Okay, selling CAD yen. Got my sell entry in here at 83.50. So once we open, we see some activity. It's only It's only ATR on here at the moment is 11, but of course it's just pre-market opening. But we've been looking around the sort of 15 area for an ATR. So a 1.5 ATRs, classic entry for myself. Pull back from the lows. 1.5 ATR lows gives me an entry into the pink zone here, which is also, if you look left on the charts, a level that's been respected a number of times. Previous support, previous resistance. Okay, 83.50. So looking to short CAD yen if we pull back another, say, 15-20 pips again. This is a day trade, it's not a longer term thing. But while we're seeing the Japanese strength, and CAD weakness, one of these pairs works against it and pulls it back into that sell zone, that would work for me. So looking at the CAD yen as well. Still, bias is pound. Now I'll have a quick look at pound before the market opens. Pound yen for the European session for London opens. Pound's been a tricky one to play over the last couple of days. I don't know if you've been in it, but certainly pound yen. It's been it's been that.
So it now been 45 minutes until the European cash equity open. Just a quick reminder of.
So we've got. So I got stopped out on Tuesday to the upside. Didn't trade it yesterday, but the bias was selling. It was just sell it, but I was short pound against the US dollar. Now we're sort of languishing around. This is the 4 hour. So if you look at the moving averages on the 4 hour, we're sort of up and below, up and below. We've now just tipped below again. So the bias is now shifting to the downside again, which is helped by both currencies, the pound weakening and the yen increasing. So I have got my eyes back on this again today to play to the short side. And I think the target we've got for the short side certainly is looking back down. It's looking back down at excuse me, 39.80. So that's the low from yesterday. Okay, so once we open today, this is the way I'll be looking to play that. If you're totally wrong, I think it's quite logical to have a stop, 70 pip stop, which is not too wide a stop in this pair at the moment. Once we get going, this has an ATR of up to 40 or 50. On the 1 hour and the 4 hour, it's up at 80. So it's above today's Asian range. So that makes sense as well. You've got certainly a good risk reward ratio if you get into any pullbacks in here. So looking at pound yen weakness at the moment. I like the pound short against, not against so much against the dollar, because I think the dollar could grind lower again at the moment. Certainly at 127 was a good sell yesterday, but at the moment pound yen possibly has the preferred play. Yen being the strongest. Pound New Zealand would also work for you. Okay, so pound New Zealand, which is hiding behind here. Okay, so this is now grinding down nicely. Okay, that's the 4 hour. This is the 1 hour. Okay, so we've had a pullback into this sort of consolidation area, and now it's rolling back over again. Okay, helped by the New Zealand dollar, of course, and some pound weakness. So I'll come back on later, just after we open. I've got to do an early start this morning because I've got to start getting the tribe out to school. So I thought I'd just pop on before we open, just to tell you what I'm looking at before we actually get going. Haven't taken any live trades this morning. Only thing I've got running is the euro pound long from Tuesday. So today's Thursday, yes, from Tuesday. So I've been offside here significantly. Got to about 20 pips of my stop loss when when pound had its big move in the week, but now it's grinding back again. Pound is now weakening up again. This is this is where we want to see it for me. Euro grinding higher against that, so I think this is going to certainly go back into the green later today as it pushes higher. So if you're not in the euro pound, yeah, you might want to get into some euro pound. It's got the right momentum, direction behind it, and you know, it's had its pullback. Didn't take out previous lows from mid month, and we're going to grind higher as Brexit talks continue. Euro dollar's coming to a buy zone again, and this is the zone that I've had looked in for a while. We've dipped below, didn't take out the lows from basically these are the lows that you should be looking at: 11.11, 11.10, and then back down to 10.75. If you'd have broken these levels, then of course, you know, we're looking down at the 109 handle. We didn't break through there on the dollar strength, so now as dollar possibly grinds lower and trickles back, then this now could start pushing back up to above 1200 on its way back up to the 1250 area. So I think this is a potential for it to grind back up. So I'll be looking for entries in there again today. So we've basically had 2 days now of it grinding higher, and I think that is the bias at the moment. So we'll be playing that one to the upside, firmly above the moving averages on the 1 hour, and just piercing its nose or its rearing its ugly head above on the 4 hour as well. So that's my thought on that as well. Euro is up there at the moment. It's up there, the third strongest currency, up there with the yen and the New Zealand. So that's where you're going to be playing, I think. So there's the strong currencies against the weak currencies. You've got the yen, New Zealand, and the euro, and the weaker currencies the CAD, the British pound, and Aussie. But Aussie's putting on a bit of a bid over the last closing to Asia, beginning into the European session. Right, let's have a quick look at some trade ideas before I wrap up. I'll be back on very late later after the school run once we get going. We've got some New Zealand plays coming on. Euro Oz long. Yeah, it's working, but Aussie's putting a bit of a bid up. Let's have a look at the charts here. You've got this is multi-time frame analysis. We like that. Okay, so I waited for the pullback of the agency and I placed a buy stop at the high of today, so far with a stop loss at the current low. I missed the 4 entries. This might pull back first. It doesn't manage the trade in around 80 pips. I'll be taking 50% around that level. Okay, yeah, nice idea. Yeah, nice idea. I mean, I think the euro, I think this is the right bias for this trade at the moment. Certainly. Let's have a look at the Euro Oz. So, bit of a pullback here. Yeah, I mean, I quite like this entry. I don't know where your entry was. It was at what was your entry? At 148.08. Okay, 147.29 just stopped. You haven't been stopped out yet, but I think this is a good entry in Euro Oz. Nice 45-degree angle to the upside. Nicely fanned out moving averages. Bit of a pullback in no real shift in sentiment. Healthy pullback. 30 pip pullback, which is which is 27% pullback. It's exactly 28, says 1.5 ATR, so that's a decent pullback. That would give me a long, certainly, in Euro Oz. Profit target. You've got profit target of no profit target set at the moment. Profit target for me would be somewhere up here, 148.35 initial profit target, possibly slightly lower, might come into some resistance here. 148.25, get 40 pips out of it, 50 pips, certainly get a 1-to-1 out of that. New Zealand, 3 hours ago, so that was after the sorry, just looking back here. New Zealand, short New Zealand against the US dollar, counter trend trade. Okay, you've got a 50 pip stop, good risk reward ratio, like that, could roll over, coming into double top 3 hours ago, but moving against you at the moment, I think. Okay, the rest are all a while back. Let's see what Jason, let's see what Jason's up to from 4 hours ago. So here's Jason, sorry to keep putting it backwards and forwards. Oops, easy. Jason is a long dollar CAD. I like that one. So he's long on a previous trade as well. It's gone long again for, and he's moved his stops up to 133.04. Target's 133.80. Nice trade as CAD weakens with oil prices. He's entered again here, point half a lot, and should be doing okay. Stops at 33.04. One will be in profit, and one will be a loss, but the profit one is bigger lot size. Nice trade. Well done, Jason. Hopefully you haven't been stopped out. Don't think you would have been stopped out 4 hours ago. No, you're fine. Good stuff. Right, guys, I'll leave it there. Just a quick look at the chat, make sure I'm not missing anything relevant. Euro dollar getting ready for a big tumble. Possibly. I'm biased to the long side of that one, Huntley. Okay, nothing else relevant. Right, okay, I'll be back on later. Trade safe, see how the market opens, settle down. You got my bias, yen strength, pound weakness, CAD weakness, dollar grinding lower, possible strength continuing in yen New Zealand, and possibly the emergence of some money coming back into the commodity currencies in general, Aussie and so forth. I'll be back shortly after the open. Cheers, guys. Thanks. Thanks, Potter. Thanks, Huntgree. Thanks, Ibas. Speak soon.